myself, I'll talk a little bit about the buy and hold process and why I think it's probably the best strategy in building wealth in real estate. Long term, there's some other strategies obviously that are great for cash flow and trying to generate income. But buy and hold is like the biggest wealth builder, that in my opinion in the real estate game. So obviously, well, we'll get into introductions here in a minute, but we got Jamie here tonight. Jamie's with Alcova Mortgage. I've used him almost since I started, with my loans and my clients' loans and things along those lines. And Jamie's been with me through the start of my investing career too. So he answered all the crazy off-the-wall lender questions when I'm trying to put a weird deal structure together and things like that. So definitely good to have him here tonight. We're going to get into what is buy and hold, why we do it, some of the strategies behind it, and then things to look out for. And that's really what I wanted Jamie to touch on is especially when you're looking at refinancing or trying to have, a big rental portfolio, there's things that you need to watch out for and terms and, rules and things like that need to be abided by. So you don't want to get yourself in a situation like I almost got in, a couple months ago, and I'll get into that in a minute too. So without further ado, we'll get started. Hey. So what is grid? There's some new people here, which is great. We're always trying to get new people out. Really appreciate you bringing, people with you if you got value out of it last time. Grid is a U.S.-based real estate investment club or group, I guess you could say. They started up in Northern Virginia and have grown rapidly up there, and we're starting to see them, in the Roanoke Valley, the New River Valley, obviously. They have them in, I think, Knoxville, Tennessee. There's some out close to Denver now. So it's a spreading group. And, when I first started looking around, I was kind of surprised that there wasn't anything like this already out there. So they add a lot of framework and structure to us getting together and talking about stuff. And, all out here, real people doing real deals. There's no gurus here. There's no fee or, nothing we're trying to sell you besides real estate, but, it's very open forum here. So that's Grid. Leader intros. I'm Cody Jernell. Grew up here in Giles County. Went to Virginia Tech. We have a brokerage and a property management company here in Blacksburg. And, I have a passion for real estate investing and wealth building and kind of passing the knowledge and experiences on that I have, going through it. So that's why I formed this group. Jamie, you can tell them a little bit about yourself at this point if you like.
Jamie Roberts, as Cody said. I'm with Alcova Mortgage. Been in the mortgage business. In June was 20 years. Seen a lot of changes in the market from the first refi boom in 2005. Market crash 2008, rate drops 2012 to where we are today at 7%. So seen a lot of changes, seen guidelines tighten up, loosen up. We'll go over a lot of those guidelines. Actually, within the last, 6 months or so, there was a big change in investment property financing that we'll get into. And so anything that I'm talking about, feel free to interrupt me. Ask questions at any time. I welcome any and all questions.
Perfect. So I want to go around the room quickly. It really helps to get to know the people that are in the room. Obviously, this is a networking group as well. So, we got people in here in different industries, different experience levels. And I always like to share that with everybody because you never know, person sitting beside you might be able to, 10x your business on certain things that you do. So we'll start on the right here. Mikhail, if you don't mind.
Mobile home parks, duplexes, single families. Glad to learn stuff, meet new people, get to know everybody here.
Perfect. Go ahead, Walker.
Walker Woodbury. Just now getting my feet wet, so first time that's great to have.
Absolutely. Walker did a really nice kind of fix and rent in Giles County that he's just about to get rented out. So that was a good project. Go ahead, Zier.
I'm Steve Zier. Full-time, kind of on the side, hadn't been a whole lot there lately. 4 or 5 rental properties for the GX clients full-time. So the clients is great. You're properties, coming out.
My name is Josh Ruffalo, so I'm a buy and hold investor. I have a nice little portfolio. Been investing for about 10 years, and I'm also a lender as well, so overseas the state of Virginia. Short term, a lot of short term.
Morgan?
I'm not an investor, but I have clients who here for
That's good. Morgan's one of our agents. She's an aspiring real estate investor. We're going to get her in there at some point, but it's good to get here and learn for your clients too, because you need to be able to have that conversation with them. So, go ahead.
For me, anytime I work with Cody, Bradley, we're all here learning. Here's all our clients.
Great. Bruce too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to tell them a little about yourself, Bruce?
Yeah. Revenue, also an investor. I was invested before. Residential properties.
I will say one thing about Bruce. I probably haven't told him this, but he helped me out on my very first rental deal that I bought. Kind of walked me through the process and showed me what was possible. So Bruce, that's what got me to this place. So it meant a lot, and that's why I started this group, because it only takes one person to flip that switch for you and change your life. Yeah, exactly.
The first one is the most difficult. I'll definitely say.
Absolutely.
The first property that I bought, my wife was pregnant and had a 2-year-old in tow, and we had no money, and just did it.
Yeah, perfect.
It was a good move.
Love it. Kristen?
I'm Crystal. I also work at Alcova. I am James' processor and his wife.
She keeps the wheels on.
Yeah, you're told what to do at work and at home.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm Don Bailey. I'm a person for contractor. What one will I have now?
I know the feeling.
I'm Alan Squires, I'm a civil engineer, and I'm a assistant director of utilities with the town of Pittsburgh. And do a real estate on the side. I kind of hatched out, and I'm looking for a new project.
Sweet.
I'm Sadie Clark. I'm a realtor with Facilities, and also we have properties together with 2 obviously for that, but it's starting slow. This one has a lot.
Same thing.
He's not a realtor.
It's good for you. Go ahead, Ed.
Ed Kazusko, I'm a full-time employee at Capital One. I live in Richmond. We've got 3 boys here in town, 2 boys here in town, 1 in Farmville, all college students. We own 3 single-family houses here that we are renting, and hoping to get more. This is our retirement strategy.
Absolutely.
And once we get through paying for college, for rental houses into income. We'd love to get into duplexes.
Sure.
I think we're leaning a little more Richmond right now for our next house, but we're still up in the air.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm his wife, Annabeth, so pretty much all say except for the Capital One.
It's good. It's a good duo. So Josh is actually also from Richmond, services that area, so it'd be good. Wasn't sure if you guys connected or not. Go ahead, Alexis.
I'm Alexis. I work at the property management company, property manager.
You also make sure the wheels don't fall off. So it's much appreciated. No, that's good. So make sure you guys, talk to each other afterwards. We usually go next door to Iron Tree and grab a few beers and talk. So that's probably my favorite part. Not just because of the beers, but like the connection of it. Great. Well, just always have to do this. Anything that is said here is not legal advice or financial advice. Do your own research. Talk to your accountant, financial advisor. We talk numbers sometimes, but it's not specific information. And then the other disclaimer is we have some video, photos going around. Sometimes those get shared out. If you're not comfortable with being on social media or anything, we're not going to have any close-ups of your face or anything. But let me know, and we'll make sure that we kind of take that out of the queue. So, what is buy and hold? a lot of you guys have experience, but really comes down to, the property that you purchase with the intent of owning for a long period of time. In my book, it might change for other folks and what their time horizons are, but anything from a 5 to 10 year plus time frame is buy and hold in my book. Anything below that, you're kind of looking at a shorter time window. You're not able to take advantage of all the perks of buy and hold, appreciation, cash flows, things like that. But we all know that sometimes, money talks, and the right person comes along, then plans change. So, that's the biggest thing. This says 6 to 12 months or less, but I still think if you're selling within a year or two, it's probably a short-term project for you. So, why buy and hold? So, multiple factors go into what make buying and holding probably the best wealth building strategy. If you're focused on income, or you're focused on just generating as much revenue as possible, you might look in different areas. But when it comes to real wealth building, we'll get into it in just a sec, but there's a lot of factors in the buy and hold market that really increase your net value or net worth, and the value of the investment that you just made. I'm sure you guys have most of you have probably seen this quote. I didn't realize it was Andrew Carnegie that first said it until I Googled it today, but 90% of all millionaires become so through owning real estate. And I underline and capitalize owning, because again, you really don't get that real wealth building until you hold it for the long term, and even sometimes pass it down generationally. So that is, that still rings true today, even though Andrew Carnegie's not around. So this, I don't know if you guys can see that in the back, but I found this diagram that kind of speaks to what I've been saying. There's really four strategies or perks to buying and holding that make it such a good tool to build wealth. I'll try and break this down for you just by color so you can see it. This is our wealth building chart. So the purple line is what your purchase price was. Obviously, when you purchase the property, if you're buying and holding it, purchase price never changes. You could, I guess, say that's actually what your loan amount is, because you're probably putting some down. We're talking about equity in this chart. So from where you have your mortgage, you have appreciation, which is this line. So over the years, obviously it fluctuates a little bit depending on the market, but over time, that appreciation is building up while the original amount that you put into the property is staying the same. So that's your equity on that side. Kind of a double equity, because in these situations, you have tenants that are paying down the mortgage, right? So you're also building equity on this downward trajectory here. So the longer you hold it, you can see that wealth gap, aka your equity, is building up in that property. So that's obviously your biggest kind of value add, I guess you could say. You're building up equity in a property. Longer you hold it, the more that's probably there. And then this second chart that you see down here is the cash flow. So again, after the 08, when we were doing Jamie can talk more about that, but there's a lot of adjustable rate mortgages out there on the market. So depending on where the rates were, that's where your rate for your mortgage goes. So a lot of folks now are buying packages that the payment's fixed over 30 years. So this red line represents your fixed rate on your mortgage. And then over the years, your rent is also going up on these properties due to inflation and just being able to raise those rents as you go. So you've got equity building both ways here. You've got cash flow appreciating over the years here. And then the fourth one, which isn't on here, is depreciation. So depending on how many properties you have, and I'm no accountant, sure might be able to tell us a little bit better than what I could, but each property that you have, you can depreciate over a certain amount of years and write off on your taxes. So I know some folks, and it's not necessarily the strategy that I go for, they're even willing to lose like $50 a month on their properties. I always want to be in the green on the cash flow side of things, but some people take that depreciation into effect a lot more than others, and they'd be willing to lose $50 a month if they're making, if they've got $7,000 to $10,000 of depreciation that they can write off on their income every year. So again, different strokes for different folks, not necessarily the way I would do it. But it is a factor that builds into that wealth building within this. So some long-term hold strategies. Jamie kind of checked me on this first one, and I made him check my math. But one of the very first things, if you're just getting into buying long-term rentals, one of the best ways to do it is do a live, fix, and rent. And I haven't coined that phrase or anything, but when you live in the property, you can buy something that's a little bit distressed if you're willing to kind of, work around the kinks. You can go as low as what, 5% most of the time? I mean, even 3.5%, I guess, if you're using FHA stuff.
Conventional 3% first-time home buyer.
Right.
Or, I mean, technically, you can even buy a USDA with no money down for first-time home buyer. And then that's kind of where the 6 months comes in.
Gotcha.
You may want it to be a little longer, 12, 18 months, before you find a more suitable property for you. But there's nothing that says once you move out of that USDA property that you can't rent it.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, so that's what these months are here for. So, you could move into a property. I think my first one I did 6 months is why that kind of stuck in my head.
You definitely did.
Jamie said it's supposed to be 12, so don't tell on me. But, you live in the property, you kind of fix it up as you go. You're willing to live with some, some kinks here and there, but kind of use your own income to chip away at the work, whether you're doing the work or somebody else is. And then after 12 months, you can go buy another one using the same strategy, rent yours out. And I'm pretty sure if you have a lease in place, right, they don't count that payment against you for purchasing the new.
Correct.
The new
So when you buy the second one, if you buy the first one using FHA or USDA, when you go to buy the second, those two loan programs are off the table. So the second one's going to need to be a conventional.
Which is, if it's your house, you can usually get down to 5, 10.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 5% conventional because you're not a first-time home buyer any longer. But you could potentially do a home equity, something of that nature, to pull the down payment out of the one you're turning into investment.
Gotcha.
And then, yes, if you have proof of a lease and deposit and first month's rent, then typically we can use that to offset the house payment on the departing residence.
Right. So I have, just as an example, I've got a client, one of my favorite clients, because she does this once or twice, every 1 or 2 years. But she'll buy a townhouse and she'll do 5-10% down on it, live in it for a while, fix it up as they go. Her and her husband love, kind of redoing bathrooms, kitchens, stuff like that. And then after the year's up, they'll turn around and rent it. They'll go buy another townhouse and they'll do the same thing to it. I think they've done that 4 or 5 times now. And they're just accumulating properties with 5-10% down payments. And they cash flow pretty well because they're buying them a little bit distressed, living with a headache for 6 to 8 months while they fix it up, and then turn around and do it again. I was doing that for a while until I got a fiance and 2 kids, and she will not let me move us into any more fixer-up.